Before we hop into your session, I'm just going to go over a couple things. I did pull you some oracle cards. We're not going to go over them in the session, but I'll send you pictures and guidebook descriptions because it'll be a deeper level of messaging. And then I asked each one of your chakras what kind of crystals would help with your healing and your growth. And I built you a crystal grid, so I'll send you a picture of that as well. You don't have to do anything with it necessarily, but if you ever want to look at the picture in the future, you'll get a reboost of the energy from the session. And then I will send you a recording of the replay either today or tomorrow, depending on when it gets done processing. Does that sound okay?
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, so for the notes that you left me here, and there's things that your higher self wanted me to share with you, so we'll get into that as well. But what I saw was I have a lot going on professionally and personally. Thanks for the notes. Okay. So, is there something in particular that you wanted advisement on, or more information, or to talk through, or are we facing challenges, or what's kind of going on there?
Well, I think from a professional perspective, I'm going into a very busy time, working on a pretty ambitious arts and culture campaign between now and into the election. And then personally too, just like lots of difficult conversations happening. So I'd like to kind of keep it a little open just to see what kind of general feedback comes through, but I'm sure those things will pop up.
Sure. Okay. Are we feeling stress or anxious about our job, or is it more the inner workings of the position, or is it communicating with other people, or what exactly is coming up that's causing that kind of like anxiety in your fields?
I think it's the volume of work that needs to happen. Yeah. Because we're staffing up pretty quickly, and so like the new team dynamics, and then just like having a very short, less than 100 days until the election.
Okay. So is this responsibilities that are shared with other persons?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
like we're a small team.
Does a lot of the workload fall on you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. It was really funny because the things that your higher self wanted to bring up today, also with a different incarnation of yours that came forward that I'm going to tell you about, all have to do with communication with others. And so it's very funny. So how are you at delegating tasks and projects? Okay, that makes sense.
Terrible.
What your higher self is gonna tell. Okay. You have a lot of uh, density in your throat chakra and in your heart chakra, which we're going to talk about today. But a lot of that is, let me see how your higher self wants me to word it. It is blocked energy in our system from not expressing our wants and needs and desires effectively, or maybe in this instance, like delegating to other people. And so there's just kind of like this heaviness that's sitting up in here that I can feel in my body from your body, which it doesn't hurt me. Yeah. Just to let you know, like I can feel that in there. So do you feel like sometimes you have a weight on your chest and it's just kind of like this impending and doom feeling?
Yes,
Okay.
1,000%. Okay. Definitely here. And then I do find myself sometimes like not speaking my truth to avoid more difficult conversations.
Yes. Okay. Why do we feel like we have a difficult time delegating to other people? Is it because we don't want to be seen as a B word? Or is it because we don't feel like we can effectively communicate, or we feel like we have to take everything on ourselves, like a savior complex or hyper independence? Is it because you don't trust your team members? There's a lot of different reasons, and it could be multiple.
Yeah, it's definitely a blend. I think part of it is like being a chronic people pleaser. It's like it's like, oh, I'll just do it. I'll just do it. And then I overwhelm myself and I can't do all of it. There's also, yeah, like hyper independence. It's like I'm trying to work through that. And like being more willing to allow folks to help, instead of feeling like I have to control it all.
Do you feel, how many team members do you have? Like, you don't have to tell me an exact number, but
Yeah, well, right now, we started with 3, and then the leadership team is now 6, and then we've hired on another 5 or 6 folks. So yeah, we're just the team right now is like kind of small, but it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
growing pretty quickly.
Okay. Are you one of the managers or like the project managers of said
Yeah.
presence?
It's like me and the founder and the CEO, and then
Hmm.
this new team is coming on underneath the 3 of us.
Got it. Okay. Are these persons all new, or some of them been there for a while? Are any of them very similar to you energetically?
They're all new.
Okay.
I'm the only one that's worked with the CEO and the founder. Um, I would say there's one person that's probably similar to my energy, but she's
Hmm.
also older than me. Like she co-founded Coachella, which is awesome, and so like
Cool.
she's done this before, so I'm looking forward to learning from her. But I can sense that she's like feeling stressed, and so then I sometimes take that on as well.
Okay. With our empathic abilities coming on there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you feel that your workload in particular is well balanced between that of the founder and the CEO as well.
I think we're all overbooked,
Okay.
overloaded.
Everybody's booked and busy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you training everyone?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you find, or what do you feel might be the challenges in regards to training everyone?
At the speed that we have to get everyone up to speed, and that some of the stuff we just don't have the answers for, like working through the budget and the different processes. Those are all getting. It is a true, probably overused, but we're like truly flying the plane as we're building it, as they say.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
What are our fears with this? Sometimes it can be really beneficial to speak those things out loud, like worst case scenarios, because if you don't do that, it gets caught up in your chest and in your throat chakra, and it's not being fully expressed. And so, for example, sometimes my inner children who have the abandonment wounds and like all that different stuff, they're like, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And me coming in and saying, like, oh, don't worry about it. No, it's not going to happen. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Like trying to put all these fires out. Okay. When I sit there and I let them express what is the worst case scenario? What is the most terrible thing that could possibly happen? And just kind of let them vent that out. Then, because it's just energy that's like building and building and building until you have a breakdown. Okay. So if we let them express that fully, it kind of dissipates that a little bit. And then you can come in as the higher self and be like, okay, I see you. I hear you. Thank you. Valid points. This is what we would do if those things were to happen. But you kind of got to let them pull it up out of your system first. And that
Mm.
can be with me right now, or it can be you in your own time. But I do highly recommend that. And it also helps you view your own traumas from a more observant place and not letting them consume you and you taking actions from that or letting yourself get so anxious and overstimulated, because we know a lot of that. And I also understand that a lot of this, like there's a lot riding on this, okay? And it's on you too, so that's part of it. But one of the reasons that you are in this place is because of the hyper independence and the people pleasing. So we need to be a little bit more observant of those behaviors of our inner children in order to help them through it so you don't keep projecting those.
Mm.
So that's where we need to separate from it a little bit and be like, tell me the worst things. Okay, now let me come in as the adult and tell you what I would do. Okay. And then we also need to be explained to them we cannot micromanage everything in the world. We cannot micromanage everyone. We can't micromanage what the founder and the CEO and the other lady is doing. Like, we can only do what we can do,
Yeah.
especially when we only have half answers. Okay.
Yeah.
Those are the conversations that you really need to be having with them because they have control issues.
Yeah.
And you were putting yourself in a wild frenzy trying to control everything about this and probably other areas of life.
Probably.
So we really need to get them on board with, hey, if things get kooky and they go out of left field and we just go way off the tracks, I'm gonna get us back because that's the type of person I am. That's why I'm a controlling person in the first place. And I get it because I have controlling things as well. Okay. But we need to tell them it doesn't matter how far off it gets. I always have a contingency plan. And I am going to be really good at training these persons. And I know that's scary because there's so many variables and so many personality traits, and not everybody learns in the best capacity. Like it's a lot. But I would assume that you are very thorough with the way that you speak to people. We are going to do our best at training everybody to be like us as much as we can. And there are going to be some people on that team that are more similar to you energetically. You'll be able to pick them out, and you need to have them as your what were those things called? I can't remember. Your right hand woman or man or
yeah, I was
person.
gonna say
Okay.
wing woman.
Yeah, you need to have them, and you need to express to them like how much you appreciate them, like really hype them up. Of like you're doing so great at this. Would you mind helping me with XYZ person over here that's a little lagging behind a little bit? Because people love that. They love to help other people, especially when you're a good boss.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, what comes up when I say that? For all of
I just
that.
I like, yeah, I do like that perspective because it's like it's important and it's not important, right? And so it's like, and there's going to be a lot of problem solving, and I'm really good at problem solving, and so it's chill out as far as like having to control everything and just solve the problem that's in front of you.
One problem at a time, or multiple problems at a time, but just like
Totally. Yeah.
those at a time. And all you
Yeah.
can do is all you can do.
Yeah.
And you probably also need to make sure that as the season progresses, you have to cultivate time where you are not doing work stuff. Like that needs to be fundamental because that's a piece of people pleasing thing.
Yeah.
You can be a people pleaser of a business or a project or a job, whatever it is, and you're just pouring
Yeah.
a million percent into that. But these persons, especially because they are coming into such like a kind of chaotic environment, they need a rock steady leader. And you will not be a rock steady leader if your cup is empty and you're burnt down, busted down, and exhausted.
Yes.
So I know it's
Yeah.
going to be difficult to put the phone down or whatever it is that you're doing. And you gotta hold a hard boundary with yourself, not only for you, but also for your inner children.
Yeah.
Okay. And we need some time that's not controlled and fun and free. Okay. When we can.
Yes, I love that.
Yes. Is that sometimes difficult for you to kind of disconnect from things that start to
Definitely.
become like all consuming?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
I try to protect my weekends, but I could still do a better job at during the week, like having a set time where I step away.
Yeah. Sometimes, as much as my inner children want to have fun, there's also those fears of, well, if we don't do these things, then we're not going to get the things that we want or survive, or like something's going to go off tracks or whatever. And like, I really have to step in as a higher self and be like, no, the answer is we are about to go on a walk. We are
Yeah.
about to go watch anime. We're about to go listen to some music like that. We're going to do that. Okay,
Yes.
you got to be that mom to them. Be like, no. Okay.
Totally.
Yes. So what is going on personally that is causing the anxiety and the controlling as well?
Um, Personally, it's just we're probably a lot of it is stemming from my work, because work is taking a lot of my time,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and it's only going to be short term. But sometimes I don't feel supported in my home life. Even though I've expressed that it's like I'm going to be working longer hours for a short period of time, please support me. And then they say they support me, but then the actions are very different. And so that's causing even more stress for me.
Are you okay to talk about this like in your environment right now?
Kind of. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you just talk about whatever you're comfortable talking about. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, yes. Okay. So how would you like to be more supported during this next, let's say, 100 days?
I'd say kinder words, less blow ups, less yelling.
Are you a person who has a very short fuse when you get overstimulated?
Yeah, I
And
probably
that's just a
do.
question, maybe not.
Yeah. I feel like I'm usually pretty understanding. Like the people pleaser in me is like, but then when I do reach a breaking point, it's kind of like I it's harder for me to reel it back once I've tipped over.
Sure. I can see that you probably go on attack mode and defense mode, not like attack, but like,
Right.
energetically attack mode. So what happened in childhood that made us a person that needs to go on attack defensive mode? Is that a parent that had a very overbearing energy field or was yelling or cut you down with their words, or where did that stem from?
Yeah, probably my mom.
Okay.
Yeah, her and I had a hard relationship. Like we just didn't communicate well. We had different communication styles.
Do you feel that oftentimes you needed to retract back into yourself when she was talking to you and kind of find oasis within, and you weren't able to
Yeah.
kind of express what you needed to express? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you see any type of resemblances between your mom and your partner? And
Probably
maybe
a
not to
little
not
bit.
maybe not to the same extent, but just
Right.
similar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see some similarities for sure.
Okay. So oftentimes when you have inner children in who were made to shrink back within themselves, when you become an adult, now you're in a big body. Okay. And you know how to explain your words more. Right. And you're like, oh, you're not going to get me. Okay. And we get overly defensive because now we have the ability to do that. So your little angel babies inside are utilizing your now adult body, but from your inner child consciousness and saying, I'm scared, but I have, the ability to like bark back now.
Mhm.
Okay. And that just begets more of that, especially if we have a partner that's like that. Okay. So this is where we really need to, because your central nervous system is only going to get more activated from here.
Yeah.
Like we already know that. Okay, you're prepping and preparing for it for these next 100 days. So we need to really get a hold of our central nervous system when we feel fight or flight coming on, and we need to remove ourselves from that situation temporarily so that you can calm down a little. And I don't mean you're hysteric or anything, but so that you can recenter and say, I need to come back to this conversation. And when you come back, and I know it's difficult while you're doing this, but you need to speak to your inner children and say, this is not mom. I am very stressed out because of work. This probably doesn't have anything to do with this person over here. And maybe it does, but it's more so like my central nervous system is too activated right now for me to see with clarity and to handle the situation the way that I would prefer from a place of love and understanding. Sometimes love and understanding is holding good boundaries with people and saying like
Yeah, fair.
I'm not gonna
Very fair.
participate in this conversation with you. Okay. Or sometimes when people are not necessarily giving you the support that you need in certain contextual situations, you need to be the one to be giving yourself that support and kind of hunker down and be like, I'm just going to pour all my energy and attention over here while I work
My
through
noise canceling headphones.
yes, while I am doing this, okay, and point my energy and attention over here, because if I'm not being met with the reciprocal energy of respect that I need, well, then I'm going to put my time and energy elsewhere for the next however long. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
it does.
Okay, but at the same
Um,
time, you can't expect somebody not to do that behavior if we're doing that too. And you
yeah.
may not be the one that starts it. Okay, but if we're participating in it, we're just going to get more of that. The only person that you can change is you. Sometimes
Hmm.
that means you need to come into those situations differently, or you just need to invest your time and energy elsewhere for this next chapter. Okay, and set very specific expectations and standards. And then if those are not met, energy and intention goes elsewhere. But we also have to make sure at the same time that we are upholding our own expectations and standards with self of I'm not going to, not allow is not the right word. I'm not going to participate in the behavior that I am wanting to see change. And that means that I need to go get myself in check. And I know it's difficult when the emotions and all this stuff is coming up, need to remove ourselves from the situation.
Yeah, but it's kind of the classic like lead by example is what
Yeah.
I'm getting.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I am going to tell you that if you have been participating in this cycle with, okay, that when you start holding boundaries, sometimes it gets worse initially because y'all have been in this place together. Okay, now it's like, why the heck are you acting different?
Yeah. It's
This
like
is
I'm listening.
when, oh yeah, this is when we need to have that conversation of boundaries are an act of love, and we need to reset the dynamics of how we're treating one another. And that means that, you know, I do love you so much, and I want us to thrive in this relationship. So sometimes I'm going to need to remove myself from the conversation so that I can go speak to my inner children who are hurt, who are people pleasers and maskers. Like, you can talk about this, like, it needs to be talked about, right? It's like at
Mm.
some point,
Yeah.
I have triggered inner children from my childhood. I need to go take care of them so that I do not speak to you in this way. I want
Yeah.
to speak to you from a loving care. I, I.
Yeah. 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 I
I want to
sense.
speak to you from a
Yes.
loving space. I want to communicate with you better. I want to show you more love. So I need to remove myself so I can go help those wounded parts of myself and then come back to this. You notice how that's not being defensive. It's saying I
Yeah.
need to go shift. That's being a good leader too, because it's like maybe you should go do that too.
Yeah. I think it's very, very, very helpful.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, we're going to reset the energetics there.
Yeah.
Now, is he a man?
Yeah.
Okay. They need very specific examples of what it is that you need. Like just saying, and you probably have done that before, but just saying like, I need more support. I need specific examples. I need directives. Okay. Of what you want. So maybe that would look like you sitting down, writing those out. You could even ask him to write one out and do
That's
like
a good idea.
a relationship like check-in with one another and say like, hey,
Okay.
what are the things that you need support with?
Yeah.
And then bring your list too and have that conversation. It's always good to lead with first, what is it that you need? Because yes, your expectations are just as important, but oftentimes when we hold the space in the floor for somebody else first, it takes them out of defensive mode.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, just a tool. And that's not
Okay.
going to work for everybody in every situation, but for some people it does.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. I think
Okay.
writing it down too is
Yeah, just
helpful.
yeah, right. Getting it out of your mind. Like, what exactly is it? Because when we just say
Yeah.
support, that could mean a billion different things. And some of those
Right.
things you don't even need from him. Some of those things you need from yourself
Yeah,
or
fair. That's
or
true.
from your friends or your family.
Hmm.
We don't want to put all our
Yeah.
eggs in one basket of this person has to be our ultimate support team because that starts creating dissonance and pressure too much.
Too much.
Yes, too much. Okay, what questions do you have about the personal stuff going on, or is there anything else in those areas?
I don't think I have any other questions. I love that check-in exercise. I'm gonna try that. And then just being more specific, more clear. I think it'll be helpful.
Yeah. You can even at the end say like, hey, why don't we text each other our lists so that they're handy dandy when we need them.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Nice
We're gonna
little
make it
reminder.
we're gonna make it as easy as possible for them, okay?
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
no confusion.
So let's talk about what I saw in your energy field, okay?
Okay.
And what's going on right now with your spiritual gifts, energy healing, what are you into? How's your spiritual awakening journey going?
Oh, those are a lot of questions. It's going well.
Mm-hmm.
Been trying to expand all of my clair senses, which is going okay. Um, I have been trying to build a relationship with Horus.
Oh, fun.
Uh,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
That makes so much sense. Okay, because he's a bird. Okay. Okay. I love Horace. He's fantastic. I'm glad you're working with him. He's great.
yeah.
What are
It's like
you
because I've been
what are you working with him on? Or just in general?
just just in general, and it's like with some of these like kind of big changes that are happening. Because I had reached out to him a couple of times, and it was funny. It was like a couple of weekends ago. Like I laid down in between chores, and I was like I could feel him very very present. I was like, oh cool. I've been trying to get a hold of
Yeah.
you. Because it's like okay, so I did, but then I was like, of course, immediately second guess myself, and I was like, okay, like did that actually happen? Like, okay, so I would love validation. I need like a sign. I need some kind of validation signs. Like I walk out like right after that. I walk out and I go outside. I start walking up my driveway, and I almost step on this.
Oh, love. That's great. That's the
I was like,
confirmation. Yes.
okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, so that's exciting. Except for I'm not sure. I still don't like there's no dialogue, I guess, or the
Hmm.
conversation. I'm just trying to figure out what's next. And like understanding, just having more clarity on the conversation. Does that make sense?
Oh, for sure. And one of the things that came up today was enhancing and developing your clairaudient abilities. So that'll come in handy with the things that we're going to talk
Yes,
about.
exactly.
Okay. So when I went into your energy field, I saw this big stone and it had ruins on it. Have you seen those before? It's like inscriptions into like it kind of looks like petroglyphs or like hieroglyphs. Um, ruins are typically rooted in like Celtic or like Norse mythology. I don't know necessarily that the mythology matters here, is more so going to find ancient knowledge and wisdom. And so the stone, I was looking at it and all of a sudden I turned and there was a bunch of different stones with a lot of ruins on them. And there was this pathway that led up to the top of this kind of hill. And when I got up there, there was I'm going to read my notes down here. There was a woman that had a cloak and I couldn't really see her. I just saw somebody with a cloak on. And I walked up to her and instead of a woman, it was a crow person. Like it had like a crow face. And I was like, oh, hello. Uh, and I was telling this creature why I was there, and all of a sudden its wings kind of like popped out of the cloak like hands, and I was like, okay. And it handed me a box. And in shamanism, crows are representative of cunning, being cunning, not in a negative way, just
Yeah.
like figuring things out like a puzzle, and then being
Yeah.
intelligent, which that's representative of your energy.
Yeah.
And in the box, there was this key, and keys are typically representative of unlocking things within ourselves. Sometimes it's trauma, sometimes it's spiritual gifts. It can be different things. So they told me that I needed to go open something with the key. And so I started walking off. And do you know the song from Wizard of Oz? We're off to see the wizard.
Yes.
And that started playing. And I kind of saw the house from the Wizard of Oz like before they go there, and there was this storm cellar. Have you ever seen one of those before where people like go and walk down into when there's like
Yeah.
windows or things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your subconscious or Akashic records was represented by the cellar. And I went and I put the key in it and I turned to, and I went down in there and it was really dark. I was like, hello. And
Anybody here?
the crow person met me back in there and it was very kind of like dusty and musk in there. And I said, what is in here? And the crow like went like this and they said dreams that we wanted, but life got in the way. I said,
Oh.
okay. Okay. And I said, we need to air this out. Okay. So I took the ceiling and I pushed it down, kind of like unfolded it like a gift box. And then your energy body walked up out of all of these like doodads that were like everywhere. And she was like, oh, fresh air and sunlight. And I was like, yeah,
Hello.
yeah. And I introduced myself to her and I said, hey, I'm Sage. I'm here to help with any type of gift activations or learning about different incarnations or, trauma, whatever I need to see. And she said, thank goodness you're here. I said, okay. She said, come with me. And so we walked to this, it was kind of like a shallow pool, not like a pool you get into, but kind of just, shallow thing of water. And I said, where is this? And she called it the cleansing place.
Okay.
And I said, oh, okay, what do we do here? And then she started scooping up the water and like putting it over herself. And I did too. And it was supposed to be representative of you shedding self-limiting beliefs. Like, there's some things that you have been wanting to bring into fruition, but sometimes you get caught up with, well, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Or that seems very far-fetched. And then we kind of just put it down into the cellar to never be seen again. Okay. So then I saw her turn into a bird person, like a humanoid bird, kind of like the crow person was, but a little bit more like humanesque. And she had like these giant, beautiful blue feathers. And she turned into a different incarnation of yours, is what she did. Okay, so this is what was known as like a past life. I don't like to call them past lives because they're all happening at once, but different incarnation. She said, excuse me, we are people from the planet Imanex. Yes, Imanex. I said, I've never heard of that planet before. So this is new. I've never seen one of these bird beings before. And I asked her if I could go to the planet with her. And she said, yeah, of course. So I opened a portal door. And I'm telling you that because oftentimes when you're trying to do astral projection within yourself, let's say you want to go meet Horus in ancient Egypt, okay, in meditation. Oftentimes if you create a portal door with your mind and walk through it, it's easier to access. It's easier to get there. Okay. So we went through the portal door, and when we walked out, it was this beautiful landscape, these huge, huge, massive trees. And I said, oh, I didn't know this was this was what it was gonna look like. And she said, well, what did you think it was gonna look like? And I said, I don't know, like some like really high-tech advanced cities, because she's like an advanced being. And she was like, well, we are birds. I thought that was really funny. She was like, we do look like
obviously we need big trees.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, okay. So she told me that you are okay. So oftentimes we'll have these mentors or guides come through from different incarnations, because you carry the templates that your other incarnations do. And oftentimes you can channel spiritual gifts directly from them or learn their wisdom and their guidance, and then integrate that into your incarnation here. Okay. So she said that you are a procurer of ideas. I said, what does that mean? So she told me to look up, and in the atmosphere, it was almost like you couldn't really see them like cloud bubbles, but it was almost like energetic cloud bubbles of ideas that were just like all up in the sky. Okay. And she said that we energetically match people to the correct ones. She said there are a lot of people who don't know what they want to do because they cannot read their own timelines. So there's a lot of people that are just wandering around being like, I don't know what I like. I don't know what my soul mission is. Because they cannot see far enough into the future to see what their life could look like if they just maybe tried a couple different things, okay? Or if they
little thing called trying.
Yeah, or if they just took a chance on the things that were in their cellars.
Yeah.
Okay, see where it takes them. So as soon as I said that, your spiritual eyes, which are different from your physical eyes, this is being able to see things. You know, when you go to the optometrist and they're putting down like the lenses,
Yeah.
you're getting a complete upgrade to your spiritual eyes. So being able to
Cool.
see other people's timelines. Okay.
Yeah.
So then she said, we help bring ideas to the forefront of people's consciousness. So things that are within their soul or that their higher self wanted them to fulfill during this incarnation, things that people do not think that they are capable of, or there's like whispers and hints of, oh, maybe I could be good at this, but there's too many filter lenses and distortions and beliefs in the way. They help pull that forward so people can see them with more clarity, because what's blocking them from getting into those things in the first place is PTSD, trauma, parents telling them they're not good enough, societal religious programming. They aren't able to reach in themselves and grab that. So you are able to help them see that with more clarity, okay, and how they can bring that into fruition. And a sentence that she said that you have probably said in your life is, well, have you ever thought about blank, blank, blank?
Yeah.
When you're talking to
Definitely.
people, so what about this? And what about this? Okay.
Yes, yes, and
Yes. So do you feel like ever people come to conversate with you and that's how you're kind of guiding the conversations when they're trying to like problem solve or figure things out?
definitely. Like I definitely am constantly trying to provide an interesting solution. I also do teach music industry entrepreneurship too.
Oh, awesome.
Um, so yeah, so it's like fun to do with students, but I feel like this is a little bit more than just that. Um,
Yeah, I could also see though how if you're teaching students in that capacity is you're showing them those future potential timelines of, hey, if you really invested in this and you really love it and you're really passionate about it, you can go really far with it. Even if it's just for your own personal journey. Not everything has to be, you don't have to be Mozart. Okay.
yeah, right.
Some things are just for you and your enjoyment and fulfillment, but it's really
Totally.
helping people see what they're capable of if they put time and energy into practice into things. And some people are more naturally gifted than others in certain aspects. So you're able to pick up on those a lot easier than most people.
Mm,
Okay.
cool.
So she said that when, and this is something that's going to keep coming online and you'll get more proficient at, I saw you and you were looking at somebody that was talking to you and they were saying all of these words, just random words while they're talking. Okay. And you were able to kind of look at their energy body and grasp the words that need to be brought to the forefront of their consciousness that is going to help you give them the next steps of like, well, what about this and this and this and this and this. Okay. So we're listening
Mhm.
for certain keywords while they're talking. When I'm doing sessions with people, people will just be talking, talking, talking. I'm listening, but I'm not actually listening. Like I'm listening for keywords.
Totally.
Okay.
I understand that.
And
Yes.
then I navigate the conversations. A lot of that is just not even resonating or registering in my ears. I'm just waiting for their higher self to be like boop, 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 boop. Okay.
Mhm.
So with those words, you were able to kind of veer out in their Akasha field and see which timelines would be the best for them to go down. And that's the advice that you give them for those different timelines. Okay. This different incarnation of yours said that they serve as spirit guides to a lot of people and beings.
Cool.
So when I got on my spiritual awakening journey, I heard the word Akash and Akashic, and something within me completely started clicking. I was like, oh, and then I just went down this, narrative and now Akashic record reader, right? But it was just from
Yeah.
one word or like light
Yeah.
language or Reiki. Like there's certain things, then you're like, oh, okay, this is for me, right? So you're able to pick up on those words in people's fields, what they need to hear in order to kickstart them towards their dreams. Okay. So
Cool.
a book that would be really good for you to read is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. She's the lady that wrote Eat, Pray, Love. So in that book, she talks about how ideas have their own consciousness and they will go to the first person who they think will bring it into fruition.
Cool.
Now, the place that she's talking about these ideas are coming from is the Akasha field, even though she doesn't say it in that terminology. When you read it, you'll be like, oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So these bird beings kind of serve as translators and navigators for people. Like, here's the Akash where all the ideas are. These bird beings are like, oh, let me go help and find this, kind of like a stork with a baby, like in that imagery, right? Okay. And I said, oh, did I have one of you tell me that Akash word? And he was like, I don't know. He was like, I don't know all the bird beings. Or she was like, I don't know all the bird beings. And I was like, okay. She's like, maybe. I said, all right. Oh, she's very funny. So some other ways that you can develop this gift, and maybe this is something you do in a spiritual context, maybe it's something you do in your 3D job. Like this would be super beneficial to help other people with.
Yeah.
Whatever context. Okay. So learning how to work through the layers of people's subconscious. So learning a little bit more about subconscious mindset reprogramming and how the subconscious plays a role in our human incarnations and in our psyche.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what creates the filter lenses and the distortions that people have barriers towards their dreams, right? Learning about guiding conversations through being a good communicator, which in all honesty, you need that information for yourself.
Yeah. Agreed.
But it'll be good for you to utilize with other people as well. And sometimes it's easier to ingest information if we are doing it for somebody else, and then circumvently we're healing ourselves at the same time and getting that information.
Yeah.
So just going on
Yeah.
YouTube and type in like how to be a good communicator, ways to be a good communicator, and finding different people to listen to.
Cool.
Okay. It'd also probably be good for you to do some research around body language with communication as well, because body language is a huge part of energy reading, and it makes it a lot easier because there's a physical tangibility that you can read in somebody instead of just trying to do like a mental read over somebody. Like it's an actual physical attribute that's moving. It's easier to start reading that way.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Your clair abilities that need to be developed the most for this gift in particular is clairaudience and claircognizance.
Oh.
So when I was trying to develop certain ones, I would listen to other channelers talk about what that means to them. And it really helped open up my own channel lines and gave me new tools and resources and understandings and activations. This is going to be a tangible exercise, is listening to the frequencies that are in words for yourself when you hear other people say them. So let me ask her higher self what she wants me to practice here. Okay. So I'm going to have you close your eyes whenever you get a second.
Okay.
So your word is going to be oranges. Oranges. So what do you feel when you hear that word?
Really funny because I feel the color pink, which I don't
Okay.
understand why.
That's fine. Okay. Color pink.
Yeah, like I'm seeing a little line that maybe it's just matching the inflection of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
What does that color pink feel like to you?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Are there any associated words that you think come up with either orange or that color pink?
Yeah, my brain is like scrambling it a little bit because it's now it's giving me like white and black too.
Mm-hmm.
I think my brain is trying to figure it out instead of just listening to it.
And that's okay. You know, that's a common thing with people where their logic and analytical brain tries to come in and say, well, I got to figure this out. It's a puzzle. So what we need to tell
Yeah.
you and your inner children, there's no right or wrong answer. It's a feeling. It's a knowing. It's whatever it means to you. Oranges to you is
Okay.
going to mean different something than somebody else. And there's no one that's better than the other. It's more about understanding the emotions or the associations or the maybe actions that come up when we're hearing those words, because that's part of your gift, is hearing the undertones of words and what people are not saying or what their higher self or guides are trying to say through the words. It is noticing if a word makes somebody feel happy or if it makes them feel upset or if it makes them feel angry. And that way we navigate the conversation based on the frequency and tonalities of the words that are being projected to us. It's sometimes easier to start with other people than with self because we have biases. And so anytime somebody's having a conversation with you or you're listening to a podcast or something on TV, wherever verbiage is coming through, ask your higher self and your guide team or this different incarnation to ping you with whatever keywords would be best for you to start with, and kind of keep a list on your phone or in a journal and do a
Okay.
little bit of meditation with each one of those words. And it's going to help fine tune your clairaudient abilities in this gift. And then eventually, when you start talking to people, you're going to feel and see and perceive a million different frequencies when they're talking to you and be able to pick up on the ones that are in congruence with their most aligned timeline. You'll be able to see and feel that. And if their words are matching them being on that timeline, or if they're very far away from it based on their words.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
So she told me that you can call her Winnie.
Winnie,
Yeah,
that's
your different
cute.
incarnation. Okay. And then she told me that you have a lot of heavy energy in your throat chakra and that we have some issues with speaking our truth. Okay. She said that we have chakras in our ears. So you learning about your chakras would be really beneficial, just going on YouTube or finding some like guided meditations or activations that you can do for those.
Okay.
That's when she told me about the heaviness in your heart chakra. And she told me that the one of the core woundings in there is not being taken seriously or feeling like we're not being taken seriously. So she wanted me to ask
Yeah.
you about that.
Yeah, I can feel that because even when I was young too, it's like I would get so upset and worried when people laughed at me. And like that was
Mm-hmm.
always like really triggering for me, and I never like quite understood why I would get so upset about it. Um, and I still feel that too, although I'm much more confident now these days because I've done a lot of stuff. But like maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's where too where some of the control is coming from, where it's like I have to be taken seriously. I have to prove that I'm worthy of this.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that hits.
I can also see where you're already really good at reading frequencies with other people, whether you're conscious or unconscious of it. Like you can hear what is not being said or perceive what people are not saying in their brain. And sometimes that can be really triggering or disconcerting because it feels almost like people are not being their true authentic selves and they're saying one thing but they actually mean something else. But your higher
Yes.
self, yeah, wants you to know too that a lot of the stuff that you can perceive and read in people is in their subconscious, not in their conscious mind. So you're perceiving like deep within their energetic field. And so sometimes people are not even consciously aware that they're projecting those things. And sometimes that's their own insecurities. And because you have your own insecurities, you're perceiving it as them being some type of way to you, but it's you just reading their insecurities within them and you're picking up on it because you also have insecurities within.
One big party.
Yeah, okay. But some of that is people like feeling some type of way and not being truthful and honest and just saying, blatantly yada yada yada, and you really know what's going on. You have very good discernment. And so it can
Yeah.
be very frustrating because you're like, why can't everybody just navigate the world saying how they feel? It'd be so much
Yeah,
easier.
just be direct. It's
Yeah,
so much
it would.
easier.
It would be better for everybody to be very polarizing towards one another because I don't mean polarizing necessarily like in a negative way, but
Right.
just speaking truths, whether it is perceived negative or positive, would cut out a lot of misinterpretations
Yeah.
and you feeling disconnected from other people, or you trying to navigate, do they like me or do they not like me? What do they think about all this stuff? Your higher self just wants you to know a lot of that's coming from their subconscious and they don't even know what they're feeling or thinking.
Yeah. Am I going to be able to get better at kind of knowing if it's coming from a conscious or subconscious place?
For sure.
Or
That's
is it?
that's that's part of this gift as well of perceiving and understanding the frequencies that are being spoken when people are talking. So when I am conversating with people, there is a density that I feel when people are talking that is different if it's coming from their conscious or their subconscious minds.
Okay, that's helpful.
It's like, oh, that's something that's repressed. It's like a repressed feeling. Like when somebody is
Yeah.
projecting and trauma dumping or something like that, I can tell whether they're doing it because they're being manipulative or they're trying to be in victim mode, or if they generally don't know why those things are even there because it's coming from childhood and they don't even know.
Yeah.
It is different tonalities of frequency. So, yes, absolutely. But at the same time, you also have to work on not caring so much.
Fair. Yes.
Okay. Because I walk around a lot of times and I can read people on a very deep level. And sometimes they don't like me on a conscious or a subconscious level, but I can't, I don't have time and energy to be trying to overextend myself to be liked or to be understood. Like, I need to reserve that for the persons who give me that back, right? It's so
Yeah.
exhausting trying to get everybody to like you or feel understood or um, try and not mince your words, regulate your words on so many different levels. You know what I mean? Like, we need to cut that out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
reminder. Yes.
One of
Yes.
the reasons you do that is because you have felt misunderstood.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So you overextend yourself with people so that they don't feel that way. But that's coming from a people pleaser or wounded inner child place. It's not coming from a supportive place. It's
Yeah.
not coming from a leader place. So
Yes.
when I was in your heart chakra, do you know who Quetzalcoatl is?
No.
Okay, so he is, and he's not going to be a guide for you, okay? But I had to use him as an example. So I was talking about him earlier with somebody, and he is a winged serpent from Aztec mythology, and he's like the creator of, he's like a creator god, okay? So when I was in your heart chakra, I said, who would be best to come in and help her with this? And Winnie said that you need some type of winged serpent being to come and help you. Maybe not Quetzalcoatl because he's like masculine energy. You need like a strong, confident female energy that you can channel from. And she was
Yeah.
saying that one of the winged serpents would be able to help you. So you can go on Google and type in a whole bunch of pictures and then that guide will come forward. Like she'll have her own name. She wants to come and help you. She said that you, for most of your life, have been in your divine feminine energy or a wounded feminine energy. We need to be in our dark feminine energy. That's like
Okay.
Kali. That's like if you look at like Maleficent on like the Sleeping Beauty. Okay.
Yes. I'm
Okay.
picking up what you're
It's like
putting
Meg from
down.
Hercules. Okay. This is
Yes.
like, I don't take no BS. And I say what I say when I say it. and I hold good boundaries, and I'm very secure and firm conversating with people, and I hold, all of those things, and both are needed. Divine feminine energy, sweet, caring, compassionate, kind. Dark feminine energy, very assertive, confident. If you're swinging too hard one way or the other, not good. We need to find some type of balance. You've been way too much in your divine feminine energy over here, like the soft, especially with you taking on this group of people. You're going to have to step up into that energy.
Yep, I
that
feel
you
that.
don't get overran and overstimulated and burnt down. And plus, because there's so many different personalities that are coming to the table as well, and sometimes you got to be the boss lady. Okay. Sometimes you can be like, I said what I said. Okay. So I'm going to send you some videos on dark feminine energy, because that really helped me be able to conceptualize and channel that energy, and it will help you get ready for that guide to come in and for you to start working with her as well.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I'm going to write a note here.
I did just read too that, what is it? I'm going to say Dark Side of the Moon. That's not it. Mysteries of the Dark Moon by Demetra George. It was really good.
What is that about?
A little bit about, it's more of like, Mysteries of the Dark Moon by Demetra George. It's more of like probably some of the dark feminine stuff, but also how it relates to astrology, where it's like with the new moon and like how we can pull from that feminine energy, like the rejuvenation and like owning it instead of hiding from it.
Yeah. A lot of times we will have pre-downloads come in that are getting us ready for like later messages. And so that's probably one of those things. Yeah. I think it's funny that Horus also came through because he's a bird god. I love birds. Okay, a lot of birds.
You love birds too.
I think she's also coming through right now because even though that you have had in the past some controlling behaviors, controlling of self, okay, or controlling of experiences and outcomes, you hate being controlled. We do not like being boxed in. We want to fly free. Okay. And that is a representative of the bird energy. So that's probably what coming in. Sometimes we have to liberate ourselves from our own controlling behaviors.
Yeah.
And just know too, when those things come up and are expressed, it's because we didn't feel safe as a child. A lot of times we feel very guilty and shameful for said controlling behaviors. We had to do that as a survival mechanism. So that's fine. Yeah. Like we'll continue to work through it and heal, but at the same time, we need to hold a lot of grace and compassion for those facets of self of like, we had to be that way. Not anymore. Yeah. Like, oh, we had to in the past, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It does remind me of one of your videos I watched recently too about rewriting some of that narrative.
Oh, the narrative. Yeah. What you wish with the law of revision.
Yeah. The revision. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. So the law of revisions, I think I said in that video potentially that is good for some people and some people it's not. If that feels really in resonance with you, that would be a great exercise for you to go in with your inner children and say, like, what would have it been like for us to have a very communicative childhood where we could express our feelings and our thoughts and emotions? And you can go back in those timelines and be that person for them. Let's say that you got into, because I'm sure there's examples where you got into it with your mom and we got some trauma wounds from that. Okay. So going back in and saying, hey, let's take this one core memory and I'm going to come in here in replace of mom. And then I want us to have a conversation how you would have wanted the conversation to go, to help build those communicative skills with your inner children.
Yeah, I like that. Cool.
That's also going to help you whenever you get into your tit for tats with, okay, because that is going to allow them to not take over your consciousness as much and be coming from that wounded inner child, because they're like, oh no, she's got it. We think that she communicates better.
Thank you.
And how we would have in the past. Yeah. Okay. Any questions about the things that we talked about?
No questions. This has been tremendous. Thank you
Great.
so much.
What was your biggest takeaway today?
Ooh, biggest takeaway is spending more time with myself and kind of growing some of these things instead of pretending like I'm too busy with all the outside stuff. Because I think if I can spend more time grounding and healing some of my stuff, it's going to only make the stuff outside of me um, easier and more fun.
For sure. Everything is a projection.
Yeah.
Everything is a projection. And oftentimes I will find so many external things to try and shift things. It's
Mhm.
always an internal thing. It's always like, hey girl, why don't you sit down for 10 minutes
Yeah.
and get yourself together? Okay. And then things start shifting on the outside. But and those inner children within you, if you really, 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 really dedicate the next like 100 days, not every single day, but like dedicate helping them have better communicative skills and helping them feel safe and helping them realize why it's a strength to be a leader and to be really good at directing people because that's what they want. That's what they need. Okay. We're not being overbearing. We're not being a B word. Okay. People want to know what they need to do.
Yeah.
How that is a strength. Okay. Those people, and I'm saying this to them too. Okay. So those people who are going to be working underneath you are not your mom. You do not need to be scared of them. You are not your mom either. Okay. So those are the things that we need to keep on reminding them. We do not need to feel like we were being attacked at work when we get overstimulated. Okay. It's just our central nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
To go do some grounding for a second and step outside or go sit in our car for a second and do a 5-minute grounding meditation on YouTube
Yes.
or put our bare feet on the earth or just something to get us out of said situation. Because when you get in those, I can feel in my body that you go into, I am about to die.
Like true fight or flight.
Yeah, like true, like scary, survival, fearful stuff, right? So that we really have to say, whatever's happening right now doesn't matter. I need to go outside for 5 minutes. Because
Yeah.
if you don't stop that train, it just gets worse and worse. And then you bring it home to your partner, and then it goes on to the next. There is nothing that is more important than you taking 5 minutes,
Yeah.
especially when your inner children feel very unsafe and they're scared and they're freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
There is literally not, unless there's a fire, like an actual fire. I'm gonna go sit in the bathroom for 5 minutes. Okay. Like you really got to stop all that cortisol and adrenaline running through your body because it's just gonna start like getting worse and worse and worse. And you cannot do that for 100 days.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
for the next 100 days.
No.
Right. So when you feel that really intense, the intensity start kicking on, I have to go take 5 minutes, whether it's with partner or at work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to send you your oracle cards, your crystal grid. I'll send you the replay. Um, Continue to work on channeling Winnie whenever you need help with your communicative skills
Yes.
or frequency reading people. And you're going to start to pick up on the different frequency layers within others. Keep on doing that exercise with words because it really is going to help. You won't have to do that forever. It's just a kickstart.
Yeah, it's a nice little exercise.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time and the energy. It was like really nice to meet you, and I found this to be really fun and helpful and insightful.
It was lovely to meet you as well. And Winnie as well. And the crow lady, whoever that was. Okay. All right. If you need anything in the future, just let me know. Okay.
Beautiful. Have a wonderful day.
All right. You too. Have a magical day.